is not here, unfortunately, so it'll be me co-commentating. Unfortunately, I've got my own mic, and the commentator says he's not commentating now, unfortunately, so it's just me on my own commentating, and we've got 20 drivers, luckily, and we'll go into this Austrian Grand Prix. So last race, it was, I can't remember who won the race last week. It was Duel who won the race last week, and Ferg, he had a bad race again, and Duel managed to extend on his championship lead ahead of Ferg. So looking good for Duel so far. Can he continue this momentum and consistency into this race? Whereas Ferg needs to start pushing back and needs to start claiming those points as he did earlier on in the season. Cone Racing League. I'll share my link into the description. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear, or because I've got a brand new mic. Round 3, there we go. So I'll give you some facts about the Austrian Grand Prix before we actually go into the lobby itself. I think we should be ready in some time. So the Austrian Grand Prix returned to the Formula 1 Canada in 2014 after an 11-year break. It's hosted at the Picture Square Red Bull Ring, the most recent incarnation of the Austrian circuit, which debuted back in 1970. The original circuit, measuring just under 6 kilometers, was comprised of a series of high-speed corners and elevation changes with little in the way of runoff areas. American driver Mark lost his life following an incident in 1975, unfortunately prompting the accident of a chicane slow speed at the fastest section of the circuit. When it did return in 1997, the circuit had a new layout and a new name, the A1 Ring, thanks to its funding from a telecommunication company. The track designer, known for designing many of today's tracks, went down to original layout. It was its first major commission, first of the few sweeping corners retained in the shortened 4.36 circuit. The A1 Ring hosted 7 Austrian GPs between 1997 and 2003, with 2 wins apiece for Mika Hakkinen and Michael Schumacher. As we're about to go in the lobby. So Niki Lauda is the only Austrian driver to win his home race. He did this in 1984, the year he took the third and final World Championship. He also took 3 poles. Alan Prost is the most successful driver in Austria with 3 wins since F1 returned to the country in 2014. Nico Rosberg and Max Verstappen are the only drivers to have won the race more than once. The short track length of the Red Bull Ring often leads to tight qualifying sessions. 4 of the last 7 pole positions of the track have been decided by less than a tenth of a second. David Coulthard finished as a runner-up at the Austrian Grand Prix for 4 consecutive seasons between 1997 and 2000. Then he finally won the event in 2001. And the quickest time is 63 seconds around this track. Very short circuit indeed. We could do about, esports line is a 102 point something, so that's the esports. Well, it can be a 101, but 102 is the minimum. Rosberg and Hamilton collided. There was a last lap controversy, which I remember correctly after cheering Nico Rosberg on. Nico Rosberg was leading as the final lap began with teammate Lewis Hamilton right on his tail. On the run between turn 1 and turn 2, Hamilton visibly gained on the leading Mercedes and made a move around the outside into the second corner. Rosberg attempts to cover his teammate, but instead he damaged his own front wing. Hamilton's car was ruined, but fortunately it was the last lap. Then Hamilton won. It could have been Rosberg's third consecutive win from 2014 to 2016. as we are into Q1 then for this 18-minute session. You know the drill. The top 16 don't, the top 15 go through. The bottom 5 get knocked out. Q2. Why is there so many comments coming in? What's going on here then? In Q2, the top 10 go through, leaving the bottom 5 to be knocked out. I have got a new mic, by the way, so tell me if the volume's alright. I think we're going to have some cars coming out of the pit lane then, and apparently it might be a wet race. It could be a dry quali, but it might be a wet race. So let's see what tyres people have opted to go for. Everybody's on the softs, excluding Indy and Jesus. So we've got Williams coming out of the garage. That Williams is either Harvey Lees or Chris Panda. Chris Panda is out of the garage then on his set of soft compound tyres. Williams took pole here in 2014, didn't they? Hamilton started 10th and Rosberg started 3rd, because I remember both Mercedes had a shocker of a quali, and Hamilton spun down at turn 3 and Rosberg didn't get the lap together. Actually, Felipe Massa was on pole for the 2014 Austrian Grand Prix. They didn't win it, but they did come 3rd and 4th, collected a good haul of points at the end of the race as Chris Panda warms up his tyres. I think it was just pure pace for the Mercedes. I don't think Williams did anything wrong. It was just the Mercedes having really good pace with their mighty car in 2014, the start of a new era where Mercedes dominated. Chris Panda, I think, scored points in the last round of the race. I'm not quite sure, but if it wasn't the last one, it was the one before. So can Chris Panda keep up good point scoring records for Williams as well? And this helps him in the constructors, along with his teammate Harvey Lees. Harvey Lees also have a good pace around here too. So Chris Panda then, he's about to start his flying lap, coming towards the final corner. It's very easy to invalidate it, or invalidate it at the exit of the last corner then. As he starts his flying lap, let's see where he chooses his braking point. Take half the road, half of the car on the track. Third gear, a little bit of oversteer, but compromises exit by losing a few tenths as he makes his way up the hill, coming into turn. Well, is this turn 2? Who knows, but braking at the 100 metre board, traction is very crucial here. You need to get traction spot on, otherwise you'll lose the car. Chris Panda then squabbling with the car coming out of turn 3 then, with the second DRS range, or third actually, coming down into turn 4, braking at the 100 metre board, taking a late apex for this corner, but Chris Panda does not take a late apex. He misses the corner completely. Not completely, but he didn't touch the apex like he was supposed to. Also missing the apex here as he used the outside curve for the next turning point. Take more speed than that. Chris Panda needs to find more tenths. I could definitely tell you where he could improve as he comes to turn 8, braking at the 50 metre bar. Use a lot of curb on the entry. Use a lot of curb on the exit as well, like he's just done. Chris Panda then comes across the line, set a 104.0 as we got the next one. I think it's a blue car of an AlphaTauri. No, he's not. He's in the pits. Indian Jesus is the next one to cross the line. There's a car ahead of us, but Indian Jesus has invalidated his lap time, and he would have set a 105.0. It is very crucial not to invalidate your lap time. Krishna goes quickest with a 103.9 as we've got James then coming towards the penultimate corner, misses the apex, coming towards the last corner, takes this one very cautiously is James as he comes across the line. This is going to put him into third place behind Chris Panda. We've got Cohen on a lap then. I think he changed his name because I remember Cohen in the other lobby as he makes his way towards the final corner. Cohen then comes across the line, set a 104.1 and he puts himself up into 4th place. The fast Dutchman up there in the top 4. We've got Mr. Strauss on the lap, talking of a Dutchman, coming towards turn 5, now through turn 6. 44.5, gets closer to the curb than I've seen people do on their previous laps. As Chris Panda goes quickest with it, 103.8 then ahead of Krishna. I'm surprised that's not a validation from Mr. Strauss as he comes towards the line. Sets a 104.0 in this early stage of qualifying. Who else we got next to cross the line then? Who is next to cross the line? Duel is on an outlap, but Jerome's in AI mode for some reason. iNemo has invalidated his lap time. I remember iNemo getting a podium last time out in Spain. KXI in 6th place with a 104.1. That's 3 drivers having a 103.1, so very close is the midfield. Godly Norm's back in the pit, so I think he's run out of fuel because he did invalidate his last run. So he was only fueled up for 1 lap, and unfortunately he invalidated that lap time. Louis Ladd is on an out lap, so Mr. AJ is on his flying lap, but Duwall's ahead of him, and Duwall I believe is also on a lap, isn't he? Because I remember him being on the out lap stuck behind another car. So AJ getting a really good tow throughout this whole first sector, and the first sector is only 2 corners, so he should be top of the speed trap there if he's not already. Coming towards turn 4, he does kiss the apex on the entry, gets a nice exit, rotates the cars nicely. As we come through turn 5 then, dirty air will affect him around here. We'll lose slight performance through this part of the lap. 44.5 in that middle sector. I saw Mr. Strauss do that as well, so looks like Duwall slightly to pull away a bit as AJ managed to gain the slipstream. We've got yellow flags in this last 2 corners, so Duwall will be the first one to cross the line, then AJ, as Duwall comes across the line to go to first place. AJ goes to second place. There's a half a second difference between Duwall and AJ. You would have thought he got closer despite having the slipstream then, but I don't know what happened, if that did happen or not. But it looks like AJ is going for a second lap as the Mercedes of James is up into 7th place. His teammate, I think he might have been on a lap because I did see another Mercedes up there, or was that him? His teammate's in the garage actually. So Damn Spin is on a lap coming towards turn number 3. This is very difficult to get right. I'll make our way down into turn 4, braking at the 100-meter mark. Down into third gear we go. Accelerate. Don't want to touch the grass because you'll lose a few hundreds. Not the way you want to take that corner. And that Mercedes getting well out of the way. 44.8 that middle sector, that definitely needs improving from Damn Spin. As we come to the penultimate corner then, this is very easy to get wrong, as he did get wrong, but did not invalidate it crucially for him. As he makes his way towards the line, it's a 4.4 and he goes up into 10th place. Indeed Jesus is the only one I'm seeing on a soft tyre. Jerome's on a lap heading down into turn 1. That is very difficult to get right, turn 1, the exit of turn 1, because you want to take a lot of care, but at the same time you don't want to invalidate it. The real DC always a one to keep an eye on. I think I need to go to a party chat. I put myself in the party at last, and I can actually hear myself better too. I think I was speaking a bit too loud for people's liking because I can hear the game volume better than myself. So Duwall, first place, ahead of Louis Ladd in second place, a 44.3. That is actually better than AJ's middle set, as Jerome goes quickest with a 103.0. So the Dutchman showing some good pace at the moment with a that's actually quite a good lap time, you know, from him, as he's been getting the practice in. I think that's better than my time. As the real DC then heads towards the line, it's a 3.6 from DC, and that puts him up into third place. He's got himself into third place as DC. Been quite unlucky this season, but hopefully that can turn around as Harvey Lees puts his Williams up into 5th place, slightly ahead of AJ. Krishna out there, but he's not on a flyer lap. He's got to head off into the pits because he's not got any fuel left in the car. And Mr. Strauss has invalidated it before turn 1, I think, because that's an odd. Godly Numb 2 tenths up in that first sector, coming out of turn 4. As you can see, he's starting to run out of fuel. Swing it in, use the exit curve for support, and set yourself up for the next curb. 3 tenths up in that middle sector, but Jerome needs to get out of the way. Please get out of the way, which he does, but I think he would like that Renault to get out of the way even quicker than he did before. Penultimate corner, well, he swings back into the pits, so he's not happy with that lap time at all. The last set didn't look too good. Well, at the beginning of it didn't really look too good either, so Indeed Jesus then needs to switch on to a soft tyre, but as you can see, his best time, he's done 5 laps on those set of softs. So we'll go on board with Nathan heading into turn 4. He got on the podium last week in Spain despite having his dramas earlier on in the race. His good pace managed to get himself back up into second place or third, where he finished. Let's hope we can have a fourth different winner this season. Or is it fifth different winner? I can't quite tell or remember. But coming towards that last corner, using a lot of curb on the entry. And for this corner too, which he quite didn't use that much of a curb, but comes across the line and he goes up into fourth place then. So where's our main competitors? Where's Ferg? Ferg's down in fifth place with a 103.5. Harvey Lees is down in 8th place. Krishna's coming out of the pits. So Steinslag obviously in last place on his medium run. He's the only driver to go on the mediums, but that might change in Q2. I swear a guy called Cohen's a commentator in another league too, but Krishna, did he score points last round? I actually can't remember. I know he had a good race in one of the races before. Was it round 4? God, my memory's so terrible, I can't even remember. I remember the top 3 in Spain, but I actually can't remember where other people finished, so I need to keep an eye on that. But Krishna, he did score points in one of the races. It was in Brazil where Haas had that brilliant result. They scored a lot of points to the board for that team. And Krishna has validated before it started, but he might get away with it because it was the penultimate corner. Or does he get away with it? No, he doesn't. That is really harsh. I'll tell you what, if that was Q3, that would pee me off a lot if that was me. So Krishna then, he needs to start another lap. Hopefully he's got enough fuel in the car, but he should do because he validated his lap before it started. Nice entry into turn 1 from Chris Padden, very aggressive. What you need into turn 1 to find most of the time. As we make our way through turn 2. Or shall we call it turn 1 still. Turn 2, breaking the 100 metre mark, use a bit of the curb on the entry, down into first gear to get the extra rotation, on the throttle we go. DRS wide open for this third DRS zone. This is where overtaking is most likely to happen in the race, breaking at the 100 metre board. Need to kiss the apex on the entry, but he doesn't do, he goes out wide, so that cost him a little bit of time, but shouldn't do him too much of a harm. But that's where he can definitely improve. This is not a bad corner either. A 44.6. He's down by 2/10, so I wonder what cost him that. The Welshman then coming towards the final 2 corners. The most difficult parts of the track in my opinion. Very easy to just chuck it in there, but he's going back in the pits. It's very easy to just chuck it in there and get it invalidated. Godly numb, almost a 10th up on his first sector then, coming out of turn 3. You can see gradually working up the throttle to get traction. As Louis Ladd's got up into 5th place for the Ferrari, I think he's in Ferrari. AJ's got up into 3rd place, so Jerome, Duell and AJ, the top 3 at the moment. I'm surprised that's not invalidation, you know, because God did not use a lot of entry on that curb. 44.6, I saw Chris Panda do that as well. And that, ooh, he's getting away with quite a lot of invalidations. Making his way towards the penultimate corner. And now the final corner, taking a lot of curb on the entry, try not to go too wide to invalidate your lap time. As he makes his way across the line, goes up into 11th place then. So a 3.7 for 4 drivers, 9th to 12th. This midfield is actually quite tight, you know. We've got 2 drivers on a 4.1. And I'll tell you what though, let's go on the gaps, shall we? Let's see what the gaps are between first and last. 1.4 seconds is the gap between first and last. Bearing in mind, Indian Jesus is on the medium tyres, so he should improve. There he is with a 44.6. I've seen a lot of people do that in the middle sector. 44.6 might put him on what? 9/10 or something. Makes his way towards. That's a very good entry to there. Let's hope he don't invalidate it towards the last corner. No! I think he might have carried too much speed through there, but got away with the validation. But he only moves up into 19th place, does Indian Jesus. So that lap needs improving desperately. He's got one more go at it before he gets knocked out. So KSI Indian Jesus on a lap, Cohen's on an out lap. Mr. Stroud's coming towards the final corner. Can he get himself out of Q1? Let's see. Yes, he does. He goes up into 12th place, 4 thousandths quicker than Krishna, who's headed off into the pits. So Krishna James is down there too. So I say the danger zone is Mr. Stroud's all the way down to what? Damn Spin, obviously. So 12th downwards needs improving. And we've got a couple of them on their outlaps. We've got Cohen on the outlap, KSI, we've got on board with him. Slight improvement in that first set. So he needs to find. Oh no, he doesn't. He backs out of it. So he's got one more attempt to go at it. But I tell you one thing, though. Origin Gamma will not make it through to Q2 because he has retired for some reason. And Nathan's retired, and KSI has got one more flying lap to do. I say one more, but he's got two, depending on how much fuel he's got on board. But anyways, we'll go on board with KSI. And the AlphaTauri headed down into turn 1, breaking into the 100 metre mark. Used a lot of curve on the entry. He only uses a bit of it though, so that might cost him a bit of time because you need to use a lot of it to gain a lot of speed ready for the straight. This straight here. Let's see what that first sector's like. It's 16.1. He's 1 tenth down as KSI. But he can still find more time in that middle and last sector though, so he needs to keep going. There was a Williams behind us. I think that's Harvey Lee's or Chris Panda. They're both on the tracks at the moment. Mr. Stroud has retired. Krishna's in the pit, so we best hope Chris Panda or James don't improve, or Cohen. Cohen's out there somewhere. There he is. 1 tenth up in that middle sector, so we'll go on board with him, see what he does. There's a McLaren, there's a Ferrari ahead of us. Who's that? That's the real DC. The real DC is safe at the moment. He needs to get out of the way. Come on, DC. No, he started his lap. He get a slipstream down the straight. And he goes up. He stays in 17th place. KSI's backed out. KSI has been knocked out of Q1. Cohen has got one more flying lap. And guess what? He's in a good position to get slipstream off of DC. A 60.0, but he's still a tenth down is Cohen. But using the slipstream off of the Ferrari, he might gain some time back. You never know. Indian Jesus, mate, you need to get a move on. 25 seconds left. Where's Damn Spin? There he is. Damn Spin coming towards the end of sector 2. It's a 44.4. 4 tenths up. But is that enough to get himself into Q2? I don't think so. He needs to find like 2 or 3 more tenths to make sure he's in the top 15. Chris Panda's on the cusp of getting knocked out. Can he improve his lap time? Down in 15th place. He's on the oh, that's a horrible exit. Entry is turn last corner. And he goes up into 7th place at the Cohen. Cohen's slight improvement in that middle sector. Can Cohen get himself out of Q1? Let's see. No, he's invalidated it. Cohen has been knocked out of Q1. KSI's in the pits. Indian Jesus, no! He's invalidated it. Indian Jesus will start in last place then. He's invalidated both runs on the soft run. He did plenty of laps on those medium tyres, but when it all mattered, he blew it. And that's what happens when you leave it to the very last minute. Like my assignments, Jimmy, I always leave it to the last minute. So James, Original Gamma, Damn Spin, Cohen, KSI and Indian Jesus have been knocked out of Q1 then, so they're not progressing to the next qualifying session. Krishna's out there somewhere, but he's not doing anything. So, unusual contender at the front, not in a mean way, but Jerome, fastest in Q1. Heavy rain at the start of the race. Oh, this could be very interesting. So Jerome, unusual contender at the front, I must say. No offence, but he's usually down there in the midfield. Doable, 2nd place. The real DC surprised me. In 3rd place. AJ's in 4th ahead of iNemo. Harvey Lee's in 6th ahead of Nathan. Godlinum 8th ahead of Lewinlad. Ferg down in 10th place. Chris Panda 11th. CGM Steinslag 12th. Mr. Stroud's 13th, Krishna 14th, James 15th, Origin Gamma 16th, Damn Spin in 17th ahead of Cohen. Those two separated by 5,000 between Damn Spin and Cohen. KSI 19th ahead of Indian Jesus, who will start last place. And guess, look at that. 1st to 10th, 1st to 20th, separated by a second. That's how close this grid is. One mistake and you could be possibly out. If you lose a 10th, you might get yourself knocked out of Q3. That's how crucial it is to make sure you find all that time. As there you go then, Jerome, Q1 first. Let's see if we continue this in Q2 and Q3. It's a shame Mr. Yogurt will be joining me tonight, but hopefully he feels better next week. I don't know what's going on with him, but get better soon, Yogurt. He usually watches this races, but I don't know if he's here or not, so hopefully he'll join me next week. I miss having him in this stream. He usually carries me through commentary. Here we are then into Q2, so the top 10 go through. Whatever ties they set whatever ties they set the fastest lap on, that's the tyre they'll start on. Well, no, they'll go on to softs, won't they? They don't need to start the mediums, do they? Yeah, they'll go on to softs, but we've got some people on the mediums because they say heavy rain. It doesn't matter if you go on the softs or mediums, but I go on the softs to make sure I get into Q3. Both Alfa Romeo's coming out. We've got our hash driver coming out. That is Krishna. I don't know what's going on lately with Indian Jesus because he's sometimes there and he's sometimes not. He's, I'd say, inconsistent. A bit like me. Sometimes I'm there and sometimes I'm not. He's just like all over the place, is Indian Jesus. Sometimes he's down in last, sometimes he's in first, sometimes he's in the top 5. It just hasn't got... he's basically, the chart for him is fluctuating up and down. Look at that, a bunch of cars coming out and the same part of the chart. You can see on the straight there's about 7 cars in that straight on the full map. 2 cars are in the pits, which is Duel and iNemo. I hope you noticed that I've got a new mic, and sometimes I might speak too loud because I don't know if I'm speaking loud or not, if you don't, if that makes sense. As we come through the final corner, Krishna is about to start his final lap. Interestingly, he's the only driver on the medium compound tyres. So what is he planning? Is he doing a few bankers before the soft runs? Nice entry into turn 1 as DRS is wide open straight after it. Look at that, there's a bunch of cars at the final part of the track. Louis Ladd's started his final lap, so go back on board with Krishna then, headed into turn 3. It's very crucial to get traction through there. That's the main part where you lose time. I'd say that's the place where I lose most of my time because traction is so crucial there. You don't want the back end stepping out as you apply throttle. You got to know when to apply throttle through there, because if you don't, then you have troubles getting on the power. 44.9 for the middle set, so that's not too bad considering he's on the medium compound tyres. People on the softs were doing 44.6s, so that's not too bad. But bearing in mind it is a short track, so one of the Williams has backed out, so I think he made a mistake. So one of those Williams drivers not having a good run so far in his first part of the qualifying session. A 4.4 goes to Krishna, godly numb. Where will he go then? I think he'll go quicker obviously, but yeah, he does go quicker with a 4.1, 3/10 quicker, as Louis Ladd goes quickest, as Nathan goes quicker with a 3.4. James in third place with a 3.7, separated 2/10. Harvey Lee's in second place, so that Chris Panda had a triples on his lap. We've got Jerome quickest in Q1. And makes his way towards the final corner. Let's see if he can get back up at the top. It's a 3.6, 6/10 slower in Q1 than he was in Q2 than he was in Q1. So what's happened there to Jerome? Was it a really good slipstream he got? Because if it was, he needs that back. It's a 3.6, not what he's expecting, but 6/10 off his pace and in Q1. We expect the track to get better because it's evolved as we continue to progress into this session. Mr. Stroud on the softs, he's done a 4.3, separated 2/10 between Godly Numb and himself. There we go then. So Krishna are the only one on the medium tyres. He's back in the pits. Chris Panda, I think, had troubles in his first lap. I don't know what happened, but Louis Ladd goes quickest with a 103.3, over a 10th quicker than Nathan. Look at that between Nathan and Fergs. 5,000 separate Nathan and Fergs, so that's quite close between those two. Let's see what Chris Panda can do. Can he get himself in the top 10? AJ goes second place. As Chris Panda makes his way towards the line, where can he place that Williams? He goes up into 10th, he slightly knocks out, he just gets into the top 10. The real DC is up into 6th place in the Ferrari, so the real DC looking handy there in that Ferrari. What's his teammate doing? Where's his teammate? His teammate's through that middle sector, he's in the 3rd sector, coming towards the final 2 corners. Makes his way towards that last corner. Let's see where Nemo can place his Ferrari. And he goes up into 6th place, so both Ferraris comfortably in the top 10. I say comfortably, but look, 6th to 11th are separated by, what? 6th to 10th are separated by 2 tenths. Here we are, the Frenchman of Duel. He always likes to go out last, doesn't he? He always does that. Don't know if that's a tactic thing or not. To make everybody go out there first and he does his lap. 44.2 in that middle sector. That's actually quite a decent scene compared to what I've seen. Makes his way towards the final 2 corners then. Take a lot of curb on the entry for this corner. Same for this one, but you don't want to touch that yellow barrier there. Use the outside curb to get a better exit. 3.4 and he goes up into 3rd place. Only a 10th off of Louis Lad. Who else is out there then? Was Mr. Strauss. Krishna's coming out of the pits again with a brand new set of softs. He did do his lap on the medium tyre, but now he's back onto the softs. I think it's wise for him to do that because I don't think you want to be on the medium tyres, especially for the circumstances in this race. Use tyres, Jerome says. That's not bad, 3 tenths off from Jerome. Coming down into turn 1, he completely misses the first corner. What I mean by that, he doesn't take a lot of curb in that first corner, which everybody does, so I think he's already cost himself a bit of time there, about 3 or 4 tenths I'd say. He's improved in that first sector. Coming down into turn 3 then, get on the power quick as possible without any wheel spin. Both racing points on their outlap. Making our way down into turn 4. Another traction zone. Down into 3rd for the extra rotation, up into 4th. Make our way through turn 5 and let's see what the middle sector's like. The middle sector's a 44.5. I wonder if that's any good to get inside that top 10. Coming towards that last corner, you ride the curb. The wider the exit, the better the entry. Coming towards the final corner, let's see where Krishna places his house. Can he get himself in the top 10? No, he doesn't. He misses out by a tenth between himself and Steinslag. So Krishna then, if he improves in the first corner, it'll be all good. I think he already improved at that first corner. He's going for it again. Let's see what the first sector's like for him. He's improved by a tenth, so good signs. I told you it's turn 1 that he struggles on. If he improves turn 1, it'll be all good. Mr. Strauss is on his lap, headed down into turn 1, currently down in last place. He misses turn 1 again. He won't really get a good run up the hill towards turn 2 and turn 3. I'll say this is turn 2, this is turn 3. 2 tenths down already in that first sector, so what does he do? Should he back out? Oh, I think he should definitely back out now because he's cost himself a lot of time having a bad exit coming out of turn 3. He knows it was a bad lap and he's backed out of it. Godly Numb then. Well, good pace I say, the Alfa Romeo driver, but his teammate's got a better pace. Where's his teammate? Down in 7th place. Where's his teammate? 1st place actually. Always invalidated it. Has Godly Numb. Nemo's the Ferrari, isn't he? So Louis Lad's in 1st place. Yeah, that's his Alfa Romeo teammate, isn't it? Yeah, so Jerome's out there on a brand new set of tyres. He's currently outside the top 10. Look at that, the gap between 1st and 12th. 4 tenths is the gap between 1st and 12th. I can't believe how close the impact this grid is. Honestly. Oh, look at that, sliding coming out of turn 4. Won't do his tyres any good, or the lap time itself any good, but he's got 6 minutes left, so that middle sector crucial. 44.3, 1 tenth up. This 1 tenth will get him into 9th place, no, 7th place, no, 6th place, depends if he can find more time in that last sector. Come on Jerome, let's see what you got, mate. Renault had a bad result last time out, let's see what they can do this time. 2nd place, oh my god, he found that time in that last sector. Jerome with a 3.3. Well then, if he didn't have that squirmy exit coming out of turn 4, could he have been on first place? Who knows? But Duval's coming out and he's coming into turn 1, starting his lap 2, using a lot of care on the outside and the inside too. Harvey Lees has invalidated his lap time, but I think he already went for a lap. So here's Nathan then coming towards turn 1, uses half of the track and half of the curb itself. We've got Godly Love using a bit of a slipstream, but yeah, might have cost himself a bit of time by doodling it around. As AJ's retired, does he believe he's done enough to get himself? Look at that, have you seen 4th, 5th and 6th? Look at the gap between 4th, 5th and 6th. That is absolutely unbelievable. Can't believe how close this grid is. Mr. Stroud will be coming out of the pit soon to try and get himself into Q3. I think Mr. Stroud, no, he could have scored points in Spain, but I remember what happened. He crashed with somebody in Spain, unfortunately. A 44.2 in that middle sector for Nathan. Oh, that time is crucial because this might get him into 3rd place, you know, despite gaining so little time. Comes across the line and goes up into, where'd he go? 1st place at 3.2. So Mr. Nathan then currently in 1st place. We've got Duval, who's invalidated a lap time, but I think he already did a lap before this one. Harvey Lee's back in the pits. A real DC out there, but he's not on a flying lap. He's currently on an in lap, I think. Mr. Stein's like on the verge, on the cusp of getting knocked out. Look at the gap between 10th and 11th. 4 thousandths between those two. Krishna on a lap then, he's 1/10 up in that 1st sector crucially for his lap time, because that 1/10 can get inside the top 10, you know. That's how close this grid is. Coming towards the middle sector, what's it like? A 44, oh, he's lost a bit of time. I wonder what happened in that middle sector of his, because that wasn't good enough for him. He can still find more time in that last sector, but completely misses the penultimate corner. Now headed to that final corner, let's see where he can go in that Haas. He puts his Haas up into 12th place and he improves slightly, but that is not enough for him. Godney Num improves in the middle sector, but is it enough to get himself into Q3? Let's find out. Comes across the line and he goes up into, stays in 13th place. Chris Panda has invalidated his lap time. Is it me or is it getting dark out there? Mr. Stroud's improvement in the 1st sector. Now in that middle sector, a 44.3. That's good enough, but is it good enough though? Is the question. It says he's a 2nd off. Now coming towards the final 2 corners, Mr. Stroud needs a good lap time on the board to get himself into Q3. Nice exit. Where did he go? Mr. Stroud puts himself up into 12th place ahead of Krishna, who's invalidated that lap time, but I think he might be on the in lap anyway. Godly Num improved in the 1st sector. Let's see what the middle sector is like for him. Much better, 1/10 up, but is that enough though? I don't think it's enough. Maybe. Oh, he needs to find another 10th if he wants to get himself into top 10. To be on the safe side anyway, but this lap time might be enough to get inside the top 10. And it's about to rain. This is crucial. He needs to finish the lap. Let's see where he can go. Oh, he's in 12th place. So he needs to find another 10th to get into Q2, Q3, but I don't think he'll be improving because the rain has came. And that's going to ruin a lot of people's lap time. So Krishna has been knocked out. Chris Panda has been knocked out. Mr. Stroud has been knocked out. Godly Num has been knocked out. And he's run out of fuel anyway, so we couldn't go for another one. James out there. I don't think he'll go. Can he get himself into Q3? Is that possible? Well, looks like he's not backing out, so we'll go on board with him to see if he can improve. Heading down into turn 1. Might be a bit slippery into turn 1, but it's a greasy track. Not really the turn 1 you want to take because he didn't carry too much speed through turn 1 to continue the momentum on this straight here. On the 2nd DRS range, as we head down into turn 3, he's already a 10th down, so I don't think any point of continuing this lap. Massive lock up into turn 3. Not having any traction issues though, as I would have thought. Making our way down into turn 4, breaking at the 100 metre board, locks up again. Does James believe he can get himself into Q3? Look at the gap between 1st and 14th. It's about to... Oh, he saves it. Have you seen the gap between 1st and 14th? 3/10 is the gap between those guys. Bloody hell, how close is that? 3/10 is the gap between 1st and 14th. Honestly, that's how close this grid is. Can't stress enough how close this grid is. Nathan, mate, you've done a good job finding drivers at the same pace as well. So I believe that is Q1 over, or Q2 sorry over, but Chris Panda wants to go for another lap. Chris Panda can get the screen time then, because he won't be getting to Q3 with the track losing its grip now. That'll be a bit of practice for the rain, but he's on the wrong tyres for that one if it's going to be heavy rain at the start. Nathan currently in first place though, can he continue that into Q3? Now he's back on the controller, Mr. Nathan is finally back and in business. First time I raced with Nathan was a good experience. We both came into contact with each other. 1.6 seconds down, so Chris Panda might be heading off into the pits at the end of this lap. Come on Chris, let's retire. I wonder if it's going to rain this Q3. If it is, that'll be an adjusted session. If it's heavy rain or light rain, we get to watch the drivers muscle their way around the track using their skills to try and work their way around the wet weather conditions. Be interested to see what the race is like, because I bet some people will have a shocking start in the rain. I think Krishna needs to retire from the session because he's the one that's holding us up. I don't fancy waiting 1 minute 40 seconds. There we go. Here we go then. So the drivers that got knocked out is James, Godly Num, Mr. Strouds, Krishna and Chris Panda. But Jerome up there in third place, if it is dry in Q3, because that's what the game tends to do, if it does dry up in Q3, can Jerome get himself into the top 3? Q1, Q2's proved he's got good pace. Can he show that in Q3? I wonder. CGM Ferg down in 7th place, not really where he really wants to be, but is it a sandbag? I wonder then, this could be very interesting to see what happens in Q3. It is raining in Q3 folks, so yeah, let's see what skills the drivers have got. Who will come out on top in this wet qualifying session? Hope the drivers don't find it too much of a struggle. 2nd, 4th and 7th. 2nd, 4th and 7th. Hold on for a few seconds, mate. So we've got some cars coming out of the pit lane, and I'm going to go aboard with some people who are going to board with Dewell. Dewell's usually the last ones out there, but he decided to come out first. Then that's the wise thing to do, you know, because to get used to the track, if you do more than one lap in the wet weather conditions, it will benefit you, because you'll, I don't know what it is, but it's hard to describe, but I think the tyres will be in more, for example. You know the lines, you know how much you thought you could take, you know when to turn in, when to not, when to brake, and all, etc. So the second lap in the wet is always better than the first one. I don't know how much practice people have done in the wet, but if you haven't done any practice now, I think it's best to get some in this qualifying session. Obviously, drivers could be fueled up to more than one lap. They say it's going to be heavy rain, so the wet tyres will be used, but we're using the inter tyres at the moment. So on board with the Frenchman then. Let's see how he takes it to the first corner. Will he use the outside curb? Yes, he will. How confident is he on the get onto the throttle? You can see the rear wants to just step out on him. Flat out through here. I don't think you need to lift through it. I think you might have to lift when it's heavy rain, but not when it's light rain. You can see working his way up through the throttle, experimenting how much throttle input he can take. Look at the rear just starting. As we come down into turn 4, it's braking before the 100-metre board. This is another traction zone, so this is one people can get wrong as well. Oh, look at the car just snapping on him as he applies the throttle. This one ain't so bad. Oh, a 14 to 49.5. You can see the car just wanted to snap on him at all times. Everybody apart from Nathan and Starslag on their flying lap. Double's coming towards the final corner. Oh, the car almost just he almost lost the car at 11.7 set by Double. Third goes quickest by 3/10. Next one to cross the line is Nathan, but he's going to start his lap. Jerome is the next one to cross the line, and it's a bad lap, unfortunately. 20.7. Harvey Lees is the next one to cross the line to start his flying lap. Well, to set a lap, shall I say. Harvey Lees goes up into 3rd place. AJ is in 4th place, but he's improved to 10th already. That's what I told you about the first lap always being, the second lap always being better than the first lap. Nemo is in 1st place. Here comes Louis Ladd. And Louis Ladd will put himself into 4th place ahead of his teammate. No, not his teammate, that's a Ferrari. Where's Steinslag down in 10th place? Invalidation from Steinslag because he exceeded the track limits. 49.8 in the middle sector for Nathan. Making his way towards the penultimate corner. Now through the last corner. Be careful on traction here. And he will come across the line to go up to 4th place. So, Dewell and Ferg, the only drivers in the 11.7s. AJ's invalidated that lap time. Jerome goes up into 8th place at 30.0. The real DC is on an improvement. He's improved by 8/10. So this will get him ahead of Jerome, unless there are mistakes. Steinslag going for another lap. The real DC using a lot of that curb into the last corners. He makes his way across the line to go up into 12, go to 8th with a 12.2. Mr. Steinslag coming out of turn 4. Jerome going for another lap again. Where's Nathan? Where's Nathan? There he is. 2/10 up in that middle sector. 49.5. Nathan makes his way towards the penultimate corner. Now to the last corner he goes. Let's see if we can place that Mercedes. Decent exit from him. He'll go up into 2nd place instead of Dewell. Is it me, or is it starting to rain a little bit heavier? Jerome goes up into 7th place, so he's finally improved with 12.1. As Steinslag comes across the line to go up into, stays in 10th place with a 12.4. Nathan's improved in the 1st sector almost by a 10th. Look at the wheel spin from Nathan. Oh, he stayed in 4th gear expecting the car would get traction, but unfortunately it didn't. I know it's quite encouraging when you've improved in the 1st sector. You wanna put the throttle on more, but you don't want to because the car will just break traction and you'll lose it. You just need to be nice and patient on the throttle. We can see Dewell then going out for his 2nd flying lap on a different set of intermediate tyres. Needs to be careful not to invalidate in this and next lap because that's a pain in the arse. Right then, so Dewell is going to go for his 2nd flying lap on another set of intermediate tyres. He had traction issues coming out of turn 1. Oh, it's a validation for Dewell. and not be happy with that one. And Jerome's back in the pits. AJ, exploratory lap time from him. We've got some cars put out there for the outlaws. We've got Iron Nemo, we've got Harvey Lees, we've got Ferg. We'll go on board with Harvey Lees as he's closer to the line than the 3 drivers on their outlap. AJ's on his outlap too, but I think he's gone for a flying lap but backed out of it or for some reason. It looks like the rain's getting a bit heavier. Right then, so those 2 drivers are going to go for their flying laps, and they're close together as well, so keep an eye on both of them respectively. So they both made their way down to the first corner. Nice for my Nemo. A little bit sliding the exit. This could be very difficult because it looks like the rain's coming in very hard. If it's coming in harder, that means Ferg might stay on pole position. And Harvey Lee slightly down in that first sector. What about I Nemo? It doesn't really tell us in that first sector because we were a bit too late for that one. AJ's out there on the track somewhere. What's he doing? What's AJ doing? He's going to go for another lap. Is Mr. Booth. Mr. Lee's going for the second flying lap. Look at that. 50.3. He's lost 4 tenths in that middle sector. It looks like the rain's getting heavier, and that's not going to do anyone any favours. And he goes into the pits. What about I Nemo? What does he do? He stays out there. Has he improved in that first and middle sector? No, he's not. He's going into the pits. AJ's down the 10th in that first sector. If it stays like this, it'll do Nathan favours because he's in second place on the front row for Mercedes. His teammate's been knocked out of Q2. He's down in 12th or 11th, I think. And he's backed out of it because he's turned the ERS down. So is that qualifying done? Because if the rain's getting even heavier. Do one on the lap, but I don't think it's good enough as DC has retired. And the rain's got too heavy for the intermediates, so I don't think any improvements will start to come. And that's it. Qualifying might be done because it's too heavy. We've got Ferg's back in the pits, so he's not bothered to do another lap. Louis Lad's out there somewhere. What's he doing? 5 tenths down in the first sector. Nathan started his flying lap as Dewell. He's 2 tenths down already in the first sector. First sector's like 2 corners. And that's the validation from Nathan. Almost loses it, but he saves it. So qualifying is over then. Nobody will go for improvements. This will be an interesting end to qualifying. Hopefully it don't rain throughout the whole race because that can get a bit boring. Steinslag's out there somewhere, but he's not on a lap, is he? So no, he's not on a lap. So CJ Ferg is on pole position, ahead of Nathan in second place. Dewell's in third, ahead of Harvey Lees. Louis Lad is in fifth, ahead of I Nemo. Jerome in 7th place, ahead of AJ. The real DC 9th, ahead of Steinslag, and that is the top 10 ready for the race for tonight. That's qualifying done, folks, and let's see what happens in the race upcoming in a few seconds' time. So they got a bit of practice ready for the race tomorrow. Ready for the race tonight. So let's see if they can take that into the race. Sadly, Mr. Yogurt's not with me, but get better soon. I will send him a message now. I'll take a short break and wait for the race. So Ferg on pole ahead of Nathan by 3/10. Also 3/10 behind is Duwell in third place. Harvey Lee's 2/10 slower than Duwell in third. Louis Ladd in fifth. Not so much separated between Louis and Inemo. Jerome in 7th place, getting inside the top 10. AJ in 8th place ahead of the real DC. Styles in 10th place, and that is it for Q3. This race is going to be very interesting. I'll be right back, folks. Need to get a glass of water. I'm back, folks. Look at the rain. It's just pouring into it. It's heavy rain, like people would say. So I expect the wet tyres to be used in this Grand Prix. Mr. Yoga, I hope you're feeling well. Full wet tyres, full wet weather tyres. A racing point on pole, reminiscent of Turkey in 2020. A racing point on pole in the wet. Mercedes in second place at the AlphaTauri of Duwell. Where's the other racing point that in 10th place? Brady Pollock was the replacement driver for Racing Point, and he got a podium in China. So a reserve driver actually got a podium. Not bad for a reserve driver. Ferg, this is crucial for him in terms of the championship standings because it's his chance to reduce the gap between himself and Duwell. The gap's 25 points or more between Duwell and himself, so he needs to start reducing that deficit and bring down his confidence and momentum. He needs to make sure that Duwell doesn't get away with it. He needs to start breaking him down piece by piece. Not saying get in his head, but just outpace him in the race. We don't want to start an argument. It's only a game really, but still it's competition in this league. In any other league it's competition between the drivers. Sometimes it can get to you, sometimes it can ruin you, but you just got to learn to live with it and control it, I guess. It happened to me before. I was in the championship fight. It got to me. I almost lost it. The only reason why I won it because my championship rival had a drive-through penalty by jumping at the start, ruined his race. He retired and I won the race. Brought the championship back alive and I won it. I've crashed because I lost concentration before. Like a stupid crash. You're not under pressure, but when you lose concentration because you're tired, I crashed into a wall and yeah. This is a 36-lap race that requires a lot of concentration, especially down at turn 1, turn 3, turn 4, the last 2 corners. Everywhere, in fact, except the straights, it requires a lot of concentration. You need to get less penalties as well. Is that penalty thing still up there? Yes, it is. The penalty system. So the Haas driver takes his place at the back. Indy Jesus likes his conditions, so let's see if he can get a good result here tonight at the Belgium Grand Prix. Right, it's going to be very interesting. Who gets a better start? Nathan has the inside line. If he can get a good start, he can jump Ferg into turn 1. Lights on, away we go, folks, and it looks like Ferg gets a decent start, but Nathan might have a better start than Ferg. Yes, he does. He slides past him. He goes past him. Duval also on the outside. Into turn one we go. Racing Point's been overwhelmed, but those two go off the track. Misjudge their braking zones. Ferg is back ahead of the Mercedes. Contact in the midfield, and look at the Williams. That Williams is alongside the Mercedes, headed into turn 3 and 4. Nathan covers the inside line. Takes second place still, so he actually defends from the Williams and the Ferrari behind him. The AlphaTauri is losing ground as well. The Renault was getting involved too. The Ferrari gets a decent exit coming out of turn 3. He's alongside, look at the Red Bull alongside the AlphaTauri. The Williams versus the Ferrari down the inside into turn 4 we go. The AlphaTauri breaks later the Red Bull into turn 4. Both made contact but get away with it. Only minor contact. The Alfa Romeo takes advantage and Louis Ladd has got past the Red Bull as we go up into turn 4. So that was a very good start from Nathan until he blew it by outbraking himself into turn 1. That meant Ferg took his position back because Ferg actually got a horrible start. He got overwhelmed by the AlphaTauri and Mercedes, but those two made a mistake into turn 1. And we've got Cohen at the back. We might have some front wing damage between Cohen. Mr. Strauss at the back as well, so both Dutchmans down at 19th and 20th. Chris Panda down there too. Stein's legs having an absolute shock of a start. Look at James goes down the inside on the last corner. Look at that, losing a lot of traction there in the last corner. Not really confident as well as Dab Spin has made up loads of places. Goes off the track, does Dab Spin. What the hell was that? Completely just missed turn 1. As he's about to get passed by the Ferrari. KXI is about to overtake the Renault. He's about to make it 3 wide if you don't be careful. Look, James goes down the inside. He sends it down the inside. Both Ferrari, they shove each other off the track. A good midfield fight. It's a good midfield fight, so keep on board with it. The real DC has got Dab Spin and James. James goes down the inside and the AlphaTauri outbreaks himself. Almost hits the back of the Renault. Godly Nub's about to take advantage. They both make contact coming out of turn 4. Oh, be careful, boys. Come on. KSI has moved in 13th place. Godly Nub has lost the position to the Racing Point of Steinslag. Indian Jesus left the session. Didn't really make much progress off the start of the race. So Ferg leads, but we've got something happening, and KSI might have spun coming out of turn 8, which he might have done. Mr. Stroud has got ahead of him. And look at the gap between Ferg and Nathan. 2.2 seconds is the gap between the top two already. On lap 2, shall we say. And we've got something going on. We've got Godly Num having issues at the final corner. So Duval then lost 2 places at the start, moved down into 5th place, not what he wants. But Nemo on the podium again. He always seems to get on the podium, but bearing in mind it's the early stage of the race, so we can't always get jumpy too early. Just needs to make sure he keeps it nice and clean as Jerome has got past AJ. AJ trying to fight back on the outside. He might have better traction coming out the outside, which he did. And AJ is ahead of Jerome, but Jerome might do the same thing here. Wheel to wheel between turn 5 and turn 6. This is so close between the two. Look at that, still wheel to wheel. Can they keep it nice and clean? Yes, they do. And Jerome is ahead of AJ. So Jerome's not giving up. But look at AJ might fight back on Jerome. In fact, he doesn't. Nice and wise between AJ and him. As the real DC spun and he's in the gravel. He gets back on the track and he rejoins in 18th place. Not really having the time of his life in the wet. Ferg leads with a 2.5 second ahead of Nathan. Nathan's clear of iNemo. iNemo has got Harvey Lee's for company behind him, so Harvey Lee's putting pressure on iNemo. And the timing screen's a glitch with Duval behind him. Can Duval get back on the podium? His championship contender is in 1st place. Needs to make sure he don't gain any ground at him, but look at that. The Racing Point of Renault about to go into combat into turn 2. Dam Spin versus Steinslag coming out of turn. Look at the traction on there. The car just sliding coming out of turn 2. And Dam Spin stays ahead of Steinslag. So close between those two. As they say, it separates the men from the boys, but it's only a game, so still requires skill to drive through the wet. Also, it just requires skill to dry as well, but quite difficult as well driving the wet in the game. God knows what it's like in the actual F1 itself. You can barely see a thing from what I'm seeing. Nemo's under pressure from Harvey Lee's right behind him. We've got a duo right behind him. No DRS of course in this wet weather condition. Nemo just needs to make it nice and clean. As Steinslag has overtaken Dam Spin before turn 1. Mr. Stroud has overtaken Gondinum, but I believe Gondinum made a mistake. And Harvey Lee's is all crawling all over the back of Harvey Nemo. It's quite tricky to overtake in the wet weather conditions. He just needs to like outbrake him at the corner. Then at turn 4 or turn 2. So the gap just keeps extending between the top two. 2.9 is now the gap, but crucially for Nathan, the gap is extending behind him because the gap is now 2.1. It was 1.6 at the beginning of the lap, now it's 2.1. So he is gaining on Nemo crucially because Nemo is starting to hold up the pack of Harvey Lee's and Newell. I've got Louis Ladd in 6th place too. Nobody's picked up a penalty so far. Good news for them. Jerome stayed where he started in 7th place. He's got Louis Ladd ahead of him, and he's got AJ behind him. AJ looking to gain some ground after a bad start. His teammate, however, is in the pits already. I think he might have had some contacts because we know the wets can go for a long distance in this race. The longevity of these tyres are everlasting. James is all over the back of Krishna. Krishna's in 9th place, doing a good job, so still scoring some points for Haas for his teammates. Lagged out earlier in the session. We've got KSI on the back of Chris Panda and Origin Gamma fighting for 13th place. Harvey Lees is 4 tenths behind Nemo, so he's getting closer and closer, but not close enough. And Mr. Stroud has gone on the intermediate tyres. That is very interesting. We'll keep an eye on his lap times. Does it look like it's time for the Inters? It might be, you know. I'd never know, but I think it's a little bit early for the time for the Inters. But Mr. Stroud, if he's in a pie with AJ, can give some information back. But our first place man keeps saying fastest lap after fastest lap. 15.7 now. Nathan's just at the fastest lap, so Nathan on the charge to try and get a Ferg. However, Harvey Lee's looks like closer to Nemo than he's been before the past few laps. Can he overtake him into turn 3? So it looks like they don't have to back out into turn 2 or lift off. And Jerome's getting closer to Louis Ladd. They're all getting close to each other. Look at Nemo then. The amount of ERS he's using. James has got a pass. Well, he's alongside Krishna. And James has got past Krishna, but will Krishna try and fight back on the outside? He'll try to. Difficult corner, especially on traction, even in the dry. Oh, the connecting wheels. Krishna needs to back out. Oh, come on, boys. Oh, just not going well, is it? Chris Pandazar broke himself. Original Gamma. Give him a bit. Oh, come on, boys. KSI has got past one of them. Can he get past the other one? Harvey Lee's managed to get himself into third. No, he's in the pits. Nemo's in the pits. Is it time for the Inters? Because I noticed that Mr. Stroud has caught up to Cohen. The gap was over 2 seconds. That was 1.6. So is it time for the Inters? I wonder in this race. If it is time for the Inters, will Nathan think about an undercut? How quick is the Inters compared to the wets? He comes out in a clear air, does Nemo, so he's came out in 11th place with some clear air. Chris Panda's behind him, and Chris Panda's got KSI for company. Mr. Stroud is 1 second behind Cohen, and Cohen's in the pit, so I think it might be time for the intermediates. What's Ferg thinking? Is he wanted to stay out? He's 1 tenth down, but is it time for the wet tire, the intermediate tyres to come into effect? And he is coming into the pits. So he's responded to iNemo. Nathan's in the pits. Everybody should be coming to the pits now. Duval stayed out. Now, is that a bad call from the Frenchman? Is he optimistic about a safety car? Jerome's in the pits. AJ's in the pits. And also, the Alfa Romeo has stayed out. Jerome's got a penalty. It's Ferg. Ferg changed his front wing. He's actually changing his front wing. And Nathan has got ahead of Ferg. Nathan will be absolutely relieved to see that. So Ferg has changed his front wing and damp spins all over the back of him. So Nathan will be absolutely buzzing. But iNemo is the net race leader because he's actually jumped him. And look at Ferg, he's about to overtake Nathan. Nathan needs to defend the inside line to cover his ground against Ferg, which he does. You know, terrible exit out of turn 3. So iNemo then has jumped on both despite being in 3rd place. This is absolutely amazing. This could turn out to be an interesting race because I recall iNemo would be about 2 or 3 seconds behind Ferg and Nathan before the pit stops, and he's actually managed to jump on both. So good job from iNemo. He's the net race leader. As now we've got James putting pressure on Christian ahead of us. Steislag's in the pits. We've got Lewilad in the pits. We've got Duval in the pits. So that might be a bad call from Duval to stay out because he didn't have a teammate that was ahead of him, so he should have just came into the pits and just changed. It's good to do something different, but in these circumstances, you can't be doing something too different. Oh, James, down the inside he goes on Krishna. Krishna, does he do a switchback? Yes, they do. Oh, be careful, iNemo. iNemo needs to get past the wet weather runners. And he does so by overtaking the teammate. Oh, he's coming back. This could be 3 wide. It's turn 3. It's going to be ended in tears. We'll go on board with Nathan's point of view. He's got a Ferg crawling over the back of him. I think James should let his teammate go. If he was wise, he'd let him go. Yes, he does let him go. Nathan needs to defend. Oh, James! You don't want to fight your teammate. You don't want to ruin your teammate's race, do you? Oh, he's made contact with Ferg, Krishna, and Ferg have made contact. Where's Ferg? He's overtaken by Harvey-Lees. Harvey-Lees has overtaken Ferg. Krishna and Ferg make contact. They connected wheels as actually Ferg makes his way around the outside. Harvey-Lees should be more aggressive while overtaking Ferg like that. Look at James then. Duval's overtaken him. He needs to pit this lap. Oh, Jerome's got front wing damage from the Mercedes. But what was James doing? He shouldn't have overtaken his teammate. His teammate's faster and on the better tyres, so I don't know what James was doing because there was no way he was going to fight his teammate. Indeed, Jesus has a fast lap, but Harvey-Lees should have been more aggressive to fight Ferg. He shouldn't have. If that was me, I would have got past him straight away. Yeah, the opportunity was right there, but he didn't take it. Where's Duval's down in 5th place? And Krishna's on the wet tyres still. He needs to pit. Don't know why he's on the wet tyres still. He needs to pit. He's actually got full wind damage, so he needs to pit. Libelad's behind Jerome, but we could dare say that Ferg's front wing change has cost him a lot in this race. He sets the fastest lap of the race. Liwelad has overtaken Jerome. KSI's got a penalty, but Liwelad's got off the track, so he needs to be careful not to get a penalty. He might get a warning for that, does Liwelad. Damn spin has overtaken Krishna. Krishna's not in the... Yeah, he's in the pits now. So what is Ferg thinking? Is he frustrated? Will it get dry towards the end of the race? Who knows? Sorry about that. So Ferg's actually closing the gap between himself and Nathan, but Nathan is actually closing the gap between himself and iNemo. I did remember that iNemo, or Nathan, a bit scruffy into turn one, I must say. He lost a bit of time. I'm trying to think of that word, but I actually can't remember. Right then, so Jerome's got a 3-second time penalty. And we've got some action between James and Damn Spin. Those two are still going at it. Those two have been fighting for a long time. As James is ahead in turn 4. Indian Jesus is behind them both. Indian Jesus used a lot of wet races, but not going well for him so far. To be fair, he did lag out, so that cost him quite a bit of time. So the antagonists of iNemo, Nathan and Ferg, the championship leader, down in 5th place. At the end, if the race ends now, he'll only lose 5 points between himself and Ferg. Not too much, but he doesn't want to lose too many points between himself. This could be the climax of this race, where the pit lane started. That's when things started to change. What's happening between those two? Indian Jesus has overtaken Damn Spin. And Nathan's closed up. Is it starting to get dry? Is the race starting to get lighter? I would say. Right, Nathan then, can he win this race? Can he be the 4th different winner of this race? Needs to overtake iNemo if he wants to try and do something. On board with Nathan's point of view, as Steinslag has got past Jerome into turn 3. Looks like the track's getting a bit dry in my opinion. I know it's still raining, but you know what I mean in terms of sporting context. It looks like the rain started to ease off a bit, but look at Jerome. While trying to make a move on Steinslag, the German versus the Dutchman, and Steinslag stays ahead of Jerome. And look at the top 3 then, all of a second of each other. Not yet anyways. When is Ferg going to try and get a resolution for his races, because it all seems to go wrong in the most crucial moments in his races, because one minute he's leading and the other minute he just goes all bad. When is he going to find a resolution to his races? The turning point of this race was in the pits. Those two you can see all in a second of each other. 1.2 seconds is the gap between Nemo and Ferg. Does it look like he's clearing up? Not yet anyways. Jerome's on the damn spins under pressure from Origin Gabba as Godly Numb has overtaken Mr. Strout. Chris Panda lurking behind him. KSI on his own. I think they might have to do another stop because I don't believe the Inspedients can go to the end. And look at Harvey Lee's closed it as well, so it could be a four-way fight for first. DRS is now enabled, that's interesting. So DRS will be enabled this lap. It's still raining, so Indian Jesus, we've got some people pitted. And some people are going on the medium tyres. Do you know what? I don't think that's the... I think it's too early, because the medium tyres don't warm up as well as the softs. So I think that's a bit too early, considering it's still raining. No, it's stopped raining. Alright then, so who's going to make the first call to go into the pits? I think it might be a bit too wet still to go into the pits. Will some people leave it for one more lap, then go into the pits? DRS is now enabled. Who's going to make the first call to go into the pits? This is going to be very interesting. And it's going to be Ferg. Ferg's going to go into the pits. Nemo, Nathan and Ferg are in the pits. Everybody's going to the pits, so nobody's leaving it one lap later. This is a battle between the engineers then. Oh, he's hit him! Ferg has lost his front wing again. Second time in a row. He has to change his front wing. It's not when is he going to find a resolution to his races? When is he going to catch a break, is Ferg? He's never going to catch a break, is he? Duwall's got ahead of him. Duwall has got ahead of Ferg. This is going bad to worse for the championship protagonist. And when is he going to catch a break? Nothing's... He's got the pace, but nothing seems to go well for Ferg at all. Nathan's got ahead of Nemo, so Nathan managed to make himself a get ahead of Nemo. If any of these two win, they'll have a fourth different winner in this league out of 5 races, or 6. Yeah, we'll have a fourth different winner in 6 races. Any of these two win, we'll see a different winner. But we've got James on the softs, so he might have to pit again because I don't think they'll go to the end. Chris Panda putting pressure on Mr. Stroud. Ferg must be raging in that cockpit because you can see his championship rival ahead of him as Chris Panda goes down the inside into turn 3. Stroud outbreaks himself and stays ahead of Chris. Steins lags in the pits to change onto a brand new set. He couldn't pit because he had to do a double stack as Nemo needs to be careful coming out of turn 1. And Nemo's got ahead of Nathan. But Nathan, will he try and go around the outside? Can he get a decent exit coming out of turn 2? Which he does. He also has DRS to good effect as well. Muscling his way down the straight, needs to be careful not to use all of his ERS. Oh, what the hell's that? Krishna sets the fastest lap of the race as Nemo gets ahead of Nathan. Furthermore, we can see how many penalties people have got, so we'll go on board with the penalties, and the most penalties people have got is Steinslag with 8 seconds of penalties. Ferg sets the fastest lap of the race. Nathan needs to be wise by using his ERS because he can't afford to use all of it with like 16 laps to go. And look at that, Harvey Lee's as well, under pressure from Duval and AJ behind. Ferg's got a 3.3 second gap to make. He changed his front wing twice in this race, and that could be the turning point in this race. This is compelling because we might see a different race winner in this race. James gets a 3-second tyre penalty, and Nathan then he might use him as a DRS train. I might overtake him later in this. That's what I did to someone anyway. Indian Jesus, that's the fastest lap of the race. The Steinslag is putting pressure on Nathan's teammate. James on the soft compound tyres. Steinslag chooses to go down the inside, but James outbrakes himself into turn 3. But Steinslag himself doesn't really get a good exit. It's very crucial to get a good exit, because if you don't, you can find your car ahead of you just pulling away. As down the inside goes Steinslag at the very last moment on James, and he doesn't make it. However, Indian Jesus versus the Renault of Damn Spin give each other space between the two. Nathan's then used a lot of his ERS, and so did iNemo. Do you know what Nathan needs to use iNemo? He does it. Oh, Nathan, be careful! We've got Harvey Lee's of the trade as well. Ferg, 2.2 seconds, actually gained a second on AJ, so Ferg is starting to catch up on AJ and the rest of them. The second group is Steinslag, James, Origin and Jerome, consisting of 4 drivers in a train to fight for 8th place. Llewellyn's on his own at the moment as Mr. Stroud's got past Krishna. Down his turn 1 we go then, Nathan versus iNemo. This could be very interesting fight as iNemo has drained his ERS. You can see the flashing light on iNemo's car indicating that he's running out of ERS. Oh dear, we've got yellow flags! I thought we could hit the back of him. We can see Ferg in the background. I love to see a helicopter cam between those guys. You can see the top 6 all in one picture. Ferg just a bit further back, but he's starting to catch up on AJ. None of these drivers the top 7 drivers haven't got any penalties, and we've got yellow flags. And that's Krishna, who's crashed in the pits. iNemo is your race leader, and James has apparently made an overtake. And look at that, Steinslag versus James coming out of turn 4, and they're still fighting over 8th place, 9th place actually. No, 8th place. James is in 8th place. And look at the McLaren driver taking advantage of Steinslag. And he actually gets ahead of him as well, so Steinslag being pushed aside by Origin Gamma. Jerome's taking advantage as well, so Steinslag's losing even more ground. No, not a good place to fight. Luckily enough, he didn't contact with his wheel. Steinslag lost 3 positions, but he wants to gain them back now. He needs to start making more ground on those guys ahead of him. Nathan needs to be smart about using his ERS. Down the inside he goes into turn 4, but he needs to be smart about using his ERS, because if I was him, I'd stay behind iNemo and use him as a DRS trade. I'd start saving ERS instead of using it all. I know it's there to use, but at the same time you need to be smart about it and not use it. However, we've got James, Origin and Jerome fighting. Jerome's got past the McLaren, he's about to go round the outside of James. And look at Origin Gamma fighting back. James under massive pressure. Oh, he actually makes contact. He sends him into a spin. Oh, it goes terribly wrong. It has absolutely gone terribly wrong. And that has ended in tears. Oh dear. and Nathan's got past. Well, Nathan is fighting with Nemo. They just need to be careful about saving the ERS because they can't afford to use it all. As Harvey Lees is about to... Oh, Harvey Lees lost traction. Come on, mate, come on. Now AJ's on the back of him. This could be this going to go down to the wire as Harvey Lees stays ahead of AJ. Dewball slide past him, but Harvey Lees losing traction has cost him a lot of ground. Needs to be careful. Come on, mate. And look at Damn Spin then. Fights the Alfa Romeo. Damn Spin moves himself up into 9th place, or has he? Because Godly Numb's still around the outside. Look at that then. And with the DRS, he's managed to get himself up into 9th place. Damn Spin's in the points though. KSI's in 12th place. You can see Harvey Lees is on the back of Duel. And Inspector Calls. Look at this, you can see all of the top 5 in one picture. Ferg's about to join the party soon, but he's not really gained. I lost my voice. He's not really gained on the top 5 like I thought I would. Sorry about my commentary tonight, folks. I was playing cold ball for about 3 hours, and you know the mood. Me raging on COD has cost me to lose my voice, so apologies for not doing a good job as I would normally do. Godly Nub stays ahead of Dab Spin, using the DRS to stay ahead. Indian Jesus, however, is fighting with Jerome. They went into a pits to set on a brand new set of soft tyres. Nathan leads ahead of Nemo. AJ's got a penalty answer. Yes, he has. So AJ's managed to pick himself a penalty. Cohen's retired in the pits, so we won't see any more of Cohen, but he managed to participate. So yeah, thank you for participating, Cohen, even though he thought he had no pace. Well, who's that? That's the VLDC. That made me jump because I thought that was Nemo slowing down. And Nemo is putting massive pressure on Nathan. And also, Dewall's getting involved too. Look at the top 5, all in one picture. Brady Pollock, just the guy I was waiting for. How are you doing, mate? I hope you're alright. Nice to see you. I was waiting for you. I knew you'd come in one day. Trying to think of that English word, that's the storyline and all that. I can't think of it. Good you. I'm good, thank you, mate. I hope everything's alright. So Brady, if you just joined us, Ferg was leading the race. He was leading the first part of the race. He got full wind damage on his first pit stop, changing from the wets to the inters. So he rejoined behind Nemo and Nathan, and in the second pit stop he hit Nathan at the back in the second pit stop, and he rejoined behind the train. Look at the train. I don't know who's going to win this race, you know, but AJ has got penalties, so he's less likely to win the race because of penalties. And Ferg's 1.4 seconds behind. He gained 6/10 on that lap, so much better lap from Ferg, but Nathan's under massive pressure. Yeah, lucky to Ferg, but the championship leader is Dewell, and Dewell looks like he's going to gain points on Ferg. So what's 15? Oh yeah, a bit of maths for you now. Was it raining in the beginning of the race? Yes, it was, mate. It was raining at the beginning of the race. A bit of maths for you. So Dewell's got 15 points, and Ferg's got 8. 15 take away 8 is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dewell will gain 7 points, and 25 plus 7 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 32 points. If he stays like this, Dewell will have 32 points at the end of this race. I failed maths back in school, but I managed to pass it. And we've got a fight between Godly Numb and Damn Spin. These two have left each other alone the whole race. In fact, we'll go back on board because AJ is 1/10 behind. Has Harvey Lee's got full wind damage? Yes, he has. Harvey Lee's has got full wind damage. AJ is up into 4th place. How has Harvey Lee's got full wind damage? AJ's picked up another penalty. Come on, man. Can't afford to pick up any penalties. Oh dear, Harvey Lee should have pitted because he's going to lose a lot of time. But should he pit? No, I don't think he should pit because the gap between Louis Lad is 7 seconds and the gap behind is 17 seconds. Well, 3, 4, 5, 6, 24 seconds ahead behind Harvey Lee's. So AJ, I don't know how Harvey Lee's got full wind damage, but he might have made contact with Duel trying to send it down the inside, or Duel might have slammed into him. But either way, Harvey Lee's is dropping down the order. And Ferg has washed up his ERS. He's right behind AJ. So Ferg has drained all of his ERS. So he's on the hunt to try and get back into 1st place like he was at the start. There's 6 laps to go this race. As Damn Spin has overtaken Godly Numb yet again. Around 6 between these two. And Godly Numb will have DRS on the back of Damn Spin, but Harvey Lee's is starting to pick up penalties because of understeer. Origin, Godly Numb has overtaken Damn Spin. It's turn 4. Will he try and fight back here? Is this a good place to fight back? And Harvey Lee's got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As Ferg has overtaken AJ. AJ is up into 4th place, and guess who's ahead of him? His championship rival, Duel. But AJ has got DRS and more ERS on Ferg, but will he make an overtake down here? Louis Lad, Harvey Lee's is in 8th place, rejoins in 8th, so the only thing he can do is try and fight James and go for the fastest lap. That's the only thing he can do. No safety car in this race. We've seen safety cars appear. I didn't want to jinx it because someone retired. Oh my god, imagine if a safety car came out if I said that. Origin Gamma has retired from the session. Godly Numb, will he go down the inside? Yes, he sends it down the inside. I'll tell you what though, if Duel has a DNF, they'll be equal. No, they won't. If Duel has a DNF now, he'll still be ahead in the championship. There it is then, the top 3 consists of iNemo and Nathan and Duel. Ferg has managed to get past AJ. Duel just needs to DNF and Ferg will win the championship. It will be so close. Oh yeah. Yeah, it will be, won't it? They'll be equal on points if Duel DNFs and Ferg wins the race. But I don't think Duel's stupid enough to do that. Harvey Lee's has overtaken James. I think that was an easy move, but James, be careful. Ooh. Damn Spin, however, still fighting with his best friend Godly Numb. Goes off the track for good measure too, but he has DRS at least. And more ERS for good measure. No, Yoko wasn't commentating because he wasn't feeling well. He was a bit down, so Yoko wasn't commentating with me tonight, unfortunately. Yellow flags in sector 2. Who's that causing them? Do you know what? Nathan's done a very good job despite having so much pressure behind him with iNemo and Duel. Ferg is still being under pressure behind AJ. Here comes iNemo, but I don't think he'll go around the outside. Nathan has it covered. There's 2 more laps after this one. Can Nathan defend from iNemo? This is going to be very close. One of these two is about to get the first win of the season, but who is it going to be? Or can it be Duel? Duel's still lurking in the background there. This has been a very good race from lights out to now. It's been a fantastic race. There's been different climaxes in this race. KSI's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Will he go for the fastest lap? This has been a fantastic race. So many things have happened. And Nathan's running out of ERS, so he needs to try and save some to protect his lead from iNemo. Nemo's also running out of ERS, but he sends an opportunity right here, right now. Nathan outbreaks himself, but he outbreaks himself too much. Or has he? Nemo gets a better exit. None of them has DRS, but they need to keep an eye on for Duel. Look at that. Duel's got more ERS compared than those two combined. Nathan tries to do a switchback, but Nemo covers it. Nathan needs to be patient because there's 2 more laps to go. He could do the same thing what Nemo did to him. He just needs to be patient about it and make the move wisely. So he needs to save ERS now and stay in his DRS and slipstream. He can't afford to let Nemo pull away from him. He needs to do what Nemo did to him. I'm starting to lose my voice here because I've been playing COD nearly all day. Not all day, but for the past 3 or 4 hours, and I've been raging and losing my voice, so yeah, apologies about my performance today. Godly Numb has overtaken Dab Spin and he's up into 9th place. Right then, so Nathan's got 2 laps to go. Will he overtake him now, or will he overtake us to the last lap? Because you can see Nemo has not got any ERS in his disposal, whereas Duel has. What's Duel going to do? As Ferg, look behind him, Ferg's all over the back of him. Nathan then, he can't overtake him here. He's going to have to save ERS and overtake him at the last lap. Don't do it here, do it at the last lap. In fact, no, don't. Oh, tight, that's going to be so tight. Nathan! Come on, Nathan, mate, keep it together. Oh, come on, Nathan. Nah, Nathan then needs to go for a last lap move if he wants to overtake Nemo. My rival, I had a league race and I was fighting for first throughout the whole race, and guess what? My rival had a puncher at the end of the race. I almost got a puncher, but he did. You can see him squirming around on their old medium compound tyres. I understand the pressure, the tension between all these drivers because I was in it myself a few weeks ago. Look at that, you can see all the top 5 in one view, or the top 6 in fact, because Louis Lab's still outside, but look at that then. It's Nathan's last chance to do anything about it. Nathan needs to do a switchback now. Oh! Goes around the outside, but Nathan doesn't have DRS. Does he have DRS? No! Nemo has DRS, he hasn't thought about it. Look at Duel then. Duel has more ERS combined. And he's about to go down the inside of Nemo. Down the inside, Duel might take the lead on the last lap, which he does. Nemo goes around the outside. But Duel has more ERS and more overtake. They both make contact. They're going to make contact now. Nemo stays ahead. They're side by side. This is so intense. Who is going to win the Austrian Grand Prix? Duel gets ahead, but Nemo, can he still find by? Look at Ferg all over the back of Nathan. That was so intense. Duel has not led one lap of the race, and he's in the lead on the last lap. Look at the top 5. We'll have a photo shoot here. Look at that, the top 5 all in close contention, and Duel wins the Austrian Grand Prix ahead of Nemo. Nathan will be absolutely gutted with himself. Oh, Nathan, man, he could have won this race. But that was an absolute fantastic race between Duel, Nemo, Nathan and Ferg. Duel wins the race and he gains in the championship. You absolute beauty. You, you absolute beast. I can't believe you just done that, mate. You absolute legend. Where's Nathan? Nathan. You absolute beautiful Frenchman. I can tell you one thing, folks. My voice is gone. My voice is absolutely gone.
There is no way, dude. No way you get that. Oh.
Oh, Jesus.
So close, man.
Absolutely fantastic. I can't wait till Nathan comes in here. Nathan will be
GG,
absolutely
man.
gutted with himself.
What an overtake. Oh my god.
Come on, Nathan, join the party, mate. Third place is still good enough. Hopefully Nathan will join. I don't know where he is right now. We'll wait a few minutes for Nathan to join. Hopefully he's not frustrated with himself. There he is. Right, had a drink, let's go. Third place onward. So, Nathan, we'll start with you. Second week in a row, you've got a podium. Third place again. Not what you wanted, but how are you feeling? You should have. I think what you should have done today is stay behind Nemo, collect your ERS back and gone for it in the last 2 laps, because you were going back and forth in a few laps and that's what cost you, because you're using your ERS and you're letting Dual get closer and closer. So I think you could have done things differently today, but you still got a podium. I bet your heart was absolutely pounding on that last lap. Did you ever think about staying behind Animo, thinking, oh, I'll stay behind him, get my ERS, stay in the DRS train, and when it comes to the last 2 laps, I'll have a go at him? True. In the early parts of the race, you coming on to lap 7 or 8, and you were making your pit stops. You pitted, thinking you rejoined a second, but when you got ahead of Ferg, what was you thinking? Were you actually surprised that you got ahead of Ferg after the first pit stops? Oh. Yeah. At the start of the race, oh, were you going to say something else? at the start of the race, you seemed to have the upper hand before the first corner. You actually got into the lead before the first corner. But when you went into turn 1, did you regret yourself by braking too late?
Not really. Didn't really regret it. It was more of just I had a good start and I was like, oh crap, I'm P1 already. But yeah, I struggled in the wets to be fair. Can't really complain.
Were you kind of like panicking when you got yourself into P1?
I wasn't panicking. No, I was panicking when I went wide. I was like, please just don't lose it, don't lose it, don't lose it. So, I just wanted to survive to the dries. That was my goal at the time.
Congratulations, mate. Nice to see you. Nice to see you on the podium again. Not where you want to P3, but hopefully you'll learn next time and turn your losses into learning for the next race. And we'll move on to iNemo. iNemo, you thought you could have won that race, but Duval just had it to the upper hand. How do you feel, mate? If you're there.
He's speechless.
Sorry, mic was muted. Well, I don't know if I want to be happy or sad, but yeah. Well, it's a good position to be in, P2 and P1 in most of the race, and yeah, a bit gutted about the last lap. Would have been my first win, so yeah. But overall, a very good race.
Your pace lately, you seem to be picking up a few podiums now and then. You've picked up podiums for the past 2 races and another one earlier on in the season. How do you think the season go for you? Was it going better than you expected?
Yeah, a lot better. Have found a lot of pace recently and just have had some good race pace. So yeah, it's been great. Good to be on the podium again.
Whose strategy call was it to come in a lap early? Was it yours or was it Jeff's?
Yeah, I gotta give credit to Jeff.
So
it worked out, yeah.
He was the one that called you in. Were you surprised because you had a little bit, I don't want to say a big gap, but you had like a 4-second gap behind Ferg and a 2-second gap behind Nathan. And when they came out of the pits, you were in the net P1. Seeing Nathan and Ferg behind you, were you actually surprised, or tell you how you feel through that?
I was a bit surprised to be in effective P1. I haven't really been that early in a race, so yeah, the nerve was a bit high, and I made a couple of mistakes, so Nathan could get under the 1 second behind me, and keeping the pace up with a dry setup in the rain was quite hard, so I just had to stick it out to the end.
You did a very good.
Wait, sorry, what was your wings, Nemo?
3.5.
Jesus.
Oh, wow. I had a 2.7.
Shit.
Oh, so you had that's a dry setup. You had a dry setup.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pace.
Oh,
That's why I was so pacey in the end.
I did the same.
what did you have, Duel? What did you have?
3.5.
No, what the rest?
I had a.
No way, Nathan.
No.
Fuck the rain.
No one asked me what Nobody asked me what setup I have.
What setup do you have?
Yeah, I do know. I bet the nerves at the end of the race, your heart was absolutely pounding because not only you had Nathan to deal with, but Duel powered past you, and we were thinking, oh, I could have won this. But the lack of ERS you had against Duels, I bet you were feeling absolutely frustrated when he passed you.
Yeah, I didn't think Duel would come so quickly up behind. I thought I had it because I got a very good, some very good traction out of the third corner. But then Duel just come out of nowhere, and then I don't know. Yeah.
He RKO'd out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then we touch after that. Oh man, so gnarly.
Yeah, me and Nemo tapped.
Yeah, and I tapped. Yeah, and I tapped Duel also, and I just went, oh no, don't crash.
I knew when you went on the inside of that turn, I was like, oh no, I'm not getting the overtake. Oh,
Yeah.
That's such a good defense area.
Yeah.
Duel, moving on, teammate. Fantastic result. You extend your championship lead again. I think you lead by 32 points. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 32 points. Depending if Thingy had the fastest lap or not. I don't think he did. So I think you extend your championship by 32 points. And Well, you didn't even lead the race once. We did, but that's because everybody pitted. You stayed out one lap after. What was you thinking? Stayed out one lap after? Did you think it was not the right time to pit?
No, I just wanted to not to be held in the pit lane. I knew it was going to be busy, so I wanted to avoid that.
Did you know that those two ahead of you, Nemo and Nathan, would run out of EOS and you go for it at the very end? Because that's exactly what you did. You had more EOS than both of them combined.
Yeah, it was my bet. I was hoping they were going to slow down each other, and with my ERS almost full, yeah, it was my bet. If they kept the position were like 1-2, I would have finished third. I guess I am lucky.
When in that race did you think, I could win this race?
3 corners before the end.
How was your emotions when you overtook Nemo and Nathan?
How can I say that? I was like, oh shit, it's happening, shit.
I mean,
Crucially, none of you got penalties, but were any of you close to a penalty?
Yeah, I was a warning away to the penalty.
Oh yeah,
only had one warning.
Well, can I ask you a question? I know the only reason why I asked you because somebody was close to you. What happened to Harvey Lees? Did he make contact with you in the race? Because he lost his front wing, but part of it.
I think I was following Nemo and Nathan, and as I brake a bit early to avoid them, and I think Harvey didn't notice that and braked a bit late and just ran into me.
Thanks for clearing that up, because I was on board with another battle and I saw AJ get very close to Harvey. I was like, what's going on? And we saw he had front wing damage, so unlucky to him. And were you behind Harvey at that point, Will?
Harvey.
Were you behind Harvey? Because I think Harvey was in the top 3 or 4, but I can't exactly remember.
Yeah, he got a tank slapper in the middle of the race. And
oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, that's why I overtook him.
This season keeps getting better and better for you, because you won the last race, now you won this race, and the championship's extending. You know, Fur's going to be coming back at you, but with this consistency, you're doing a very good job. How do you think the next races are going to go for you in the future?
What is the next race?
I have no idea, mate.
Russia.
Oh, how do you think that race is going to go for you?
Can be a good one for me.
You're doing a very good job, because the pace and consistency and the patience as well. You have very good patience, and you're actually good at saving EOS as well. So all of that is helping you winning this championship, and hopefully, for your sake, it could continue for you. And Nathan, a question for you: do you think you can be in the top 3 in the championship? Because in this, well, lately you'll be starting to find the pace on your controller. Same with Nemo, because Nemo, you'll be starting to get some podiums on your hands. And do you think the top 3 is possible? Let's go to Nathan first.
I don't know. We'll see.
What about you, Nemo?
Well, you can only hope. So yeah, maybe.
I'll try, but like, I obviously had a start of the season that did terrible. My wheels suck. But if I keep getting podiums, it's possible.
Are you committed to staying on controller now?
Yeah.
I think it's the best for you now, mate.
Yeah.
Right,
I enjoy being like competitive, so.
That race is over. That was a fantastic Austrian Grand Prix. I'd say it changed. The climax changed in the race, in the pit stops. The first round of pit stops. Second round of pit stops was also interesting, because Ferg lost his front wing against Nathan. Nemo was leading the race, so that was very good race indeed. From lap 1 to the last lap, plenty of drama, plenty of action, as well in the midfield as well. There were some good battles in the midfield and some intense moments in the midfield. Bit of contact there now and then, but that's racing. So join us for next race in Russia. We'll see you all there, same time, and hopefully we'll have Mr. Yogurt with us next time. Hopefully he's feeling better. See you all next week at 8 PM. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the stream.
Au revoir.